The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.
The official visit of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to Georgia has concluded. Viktor Orban and his spouse Anikol Levai were seen off at Tbilisi International Airport by Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili and his spouse Nunuka Tamazashvili. BARTA 2023 awards registration form is open, so eligible companies can submit their applications by October the 31st. As the organizers of the competition explained, the competition has been expanded, and for the first time it is possible to submit applications both for first category companies and groups, as well as for all persons of public interest. The National Bank of Georgia continues to work intensively with the International Monetary Fund to restore the temporarily suspended program as soon as possible, said the NBG acting president Natia Turnava at the meeting with Borli, IMF Deputy Managing Director. The parties discussed the implementation of the recommendations to restore the IMF-supported standby arrangement program shortly and pledged to continue cooperation. The 10th annual conference, GIAC Arbitration Day, has been concluded. The leading conference in the field of alternative dispute resolution is traditionally organized by the Georgian International Arbitration Center, GIAC, and this year its financial supporters and partners are the USAID Rule of Law Program and the Commercial Law Development Program, CLDP, of the United States Department of Commerce. The conference brings together practitioners interested in arbitration and alternative methods of dispute resolution. About 170 local and international arbitrators, judges, lawyers, and representatives from the academia were registered to attend the events. This is The Checkpoints. I'm Elena Gvangelashvili, author and the host of the show, and the Checkpoints team is ready to sum up the business and economics week for you. Robin Danigan, the newly appointed ambassador of the United States to Georgia, has arrived in the country, the embassy said on Thursday. Danigan arrives to assume the diplomatic office to replace Kelly Degnan, who has served in the country since 2020. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili last month said he welcomed the designation of Danigan and further pointed out his government planned to actively and closely cooperate with her in order to deepen and strengthen bilateral relations. Irakli Kobakhidze, the head of the ruling Georgian Dream Party, last month said he was optimistic about the newly appointed diplomat and added he hoped she would radically change the policy pursued by her predecessor, Kelly Degnan. Kobakhidze added he was looking forward to the cooperation with the new ambassador with great interest. President Joe Biden in February submitted the candidacy of Danigan for the position to the Senate with the nomination officially confirmed in July. Danigan served as the charge d'affaires at Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Austria between 2018 to 2021. She also served at U.S. embassies in Vietnam, Chile, Turkey, Cuba, and El Salvador, working extensively on trade and investment, energy, and sanctions issues. She's a graduate of the National War College, where she earned a Master of Science in National Security Strategy and also received a Master of Science in Foreign Service from Georgetown University and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of California at Berkeley. Let us remember former ambassadors Kelly Degnan's advice to her successor in her last interview as the ambassador to the Checkpoints.
Georgia is a fascinating country, even if you're just looking at the past, but looking at where Georgia is now and the opportunities that are opening up and the determination of the Georgian people to have that European future that you've been building for in some ways centuries, I think is very exciting. And it's been the highlight of my time here to visit Georgians all over the country and feel that energy, feel their commitment to carrying their country forward to a European future. The initiatives, the creativity, but really just that determination, that sense of determination that you are going to achieve this goal of a secure, prosperous, democratic Georgia that is integrated into the European family of nations. I'm just so optimistic for the country's future. And the United States is going to be there with you, just as we have for the last 30 years, for the next years to come as you take these important steps. We know these are difficult reforms, these are difficult processes and procedures, and we want to do everything we can to continue to support you because we want to see Georgia succeed. That will be the best gift that we could ever receive. Ambassador-designate Dunnigan is one of our finest diplomats. She's very experienced. She has a lot of experience in the energy sector, which I think will be great for continuing our partnership with Georgia on developing renewables, improving energy efficiency, and also reducing Georgia's dependence on Russia, for energy. So I think you're getting one of our best, and I know she is going to have a wonderful time here, just as I have.
The war between Israel and Hamas has cast a shadow over the IMF World Bank annual meetings in Morocco, with warnings Thursday that it has darkened the outlook for an already sluggish global economy. The global lenders are holding their gathering, which brings together finance ministers and central bankers from around the world in an Arab country for the first time in 20 years. The conflict, which erupted when Palestinian militant group Hamas launched a bloody attack on Israel from Gaza on Saturday, has raised concerns about its potential impact on the world economy. Speaking at a press conference in Marrakesh, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said the International Monetary Fund was very closely monitoring how the situation evolves and how it is affecting oil markets. She said it was too early to assess the impact of the conflict, but this is a new cloud on not the sunniest horizon for the world economy, new cloud darkening this horizon. Georgian officials reacted to the attack on Israel launched by the organization Hamas, designated as terrorist by the US and the EU. President of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili, expressed her solidarity with the state of Israel, stating terror and inhumanity should have no place in our modern world. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili condemned the attack and sent his condolences to the government and people of Israel. Speaker of the Parliament of Georgia, Shalva Papuashvili, called the Hamas action unjustified, brutal and inhumane aggression against the state of Israel, asserting it will not stand. Georgian people support brotherly Israel. There should be no place for such violence in the world, Papuashvili added. The Georgian MFA condemned the horrific terrorist attack on the state of Israel, causing loss of life, and expressed solidarity with the Israeli government and people. The same message was reiterated by the ambassador of Georgia to Israel, Lasha Zhvania. The checkpoint sat down with Hadass Esther Meitzad, Israeli ambassador to Georgia, to speak about the war in Israel and the way Georgia could support the country. Welcome, Ms. Meitzad. Thank you for your time, and please take my deep condolences for your country and what it is going through these days. Before coming here, Ms. Meitzad, you met the president of Georgia. What were some of the messages that you have exchanged?
Thank you very much, Elana, for having me, and thank you for the condolences from you and from the country. President Zurabishvili invited me to her office to once again share her condolences. She also conveyed a letter of condolences to President Herzog in Israel. We sat and I briefed her over the details. We went over the details, and she expressed her kindness, her sympathy and empathy towards what the people in Israel are going through now. And we also discussed different scenarios about what might evolve in the coming days, and that Israel is prepared for each and every scenario.
Your Excellency, what is new at this point in time, and how has the picture been evolving since October the 7th?
So a lot has happened. I mean, I'm saying a lot because it's one event after the other. So October 7th, Saturday morning, I believe that all the viewers already know what took place, a brutal attack by Hamas. More than 1,000, the numbers are 1,500 to 2,500 terrorists crossed from Gaza into Israel, into the 20 settlements, kibbutzim and little towns that are in the vicinity of the Gaza Strip, and at the same time also a massive indiscriminate fire of 3,000 rockets and missiles that covered the south and the center of Israel. So this was the beginning, and this is how we started. This is how the people in Israel woke up to this war that was forced upon us. And in the days to follow, I mean, aside from, of course, the security forces taking control taking control over the territories of Israel and neutralizing the threat to all these cities and kibbutzim in the vicinity of Gaza, and alongside with the fact that the missiles and the rockets firing has been continued for 7 days now, we also started to understand the scale and the brutality of this attack. When the security forces started entering the kibbutzim, and to understand what took place, and to understand the massacre that took place, to understand that, not to understand, it's to see, it's to come across horrible evidence of what took place, of execution of babies and little kids and little children, of scenes of brutalizing and torturing people before burning them alive, killing entire families in their beds, burning houses. I mean, the party, the festival that took place also on that bloody morning, young people that came to celebrate, they came to a music festival. What is normal than that? I mean, to enjoy and to celebrate life. And they ended up being butchered, massacred. I mean, so the horrific nature of this attack, the understanding that what we are witnessing here is ISIS. I mean, that Hamas, I mean, we have known Hamas for many, many years, and we know how brutal and cruel they are. But what we came across is, I mean, the evidence to the level of inhumanity, of barbaric method, together with all of this horrific size, also the understanding of how many people are still missing, how many of them has been taken hostage to Gaza, the understanding that we are talking about babies and toddlers and elderly people and Holocaust survivors, and all of them were taken to the Gaza Strip. And we are learning about this because Hamas take pride in its brutality, and they are publishing horrific footage of grandmother being executed, of women being brutalized. I mean, horrific images are coming from this terror attack. So this is the sequence of events and what the people of Israel and the whole world has been learning ever since the beginning of this war.
Ms. Meitzad, why did Hamas start this war now? I mean, what was the main trigger of starting this now? And do you see some, I don't know, some spillover effects of the geopolitical shifts that we are seeing in the region, like war in Ukraine, like Nagorno-Karabakh? Do you see these links?
I don't think. I mean, I cannot speak, and I don't want to speak on behalf of a terror organization. But I think that to look for a reason or a trigger, there is no need, because Hamas is doing what it does because it's a terror organization. It's the same way of asking why did ISIS did what it did. Because we are talking about radical, fundamental groups that want to force their way of behavior, their way of belief, this very radical extremist interpretation of certain religion guidance, I will say, that they want to force upon all of us this very radical extreme ideology, and they will stop at nothing. I mean, Hamas has been killing my people, trying to kill my people for many, many years. I mean, Hamas for us, it's not a new phenomena. We have seen them oppressing their own people. We all remember how they took control. They were so-called elected, but then they took control by power. We have been seeing them using every resource that is coming to the Gaza Strip in order to try to kill my people while abusing and hiding behind their people. So I don't think that there is a trigger or a reason. It's just who they are.
Some of the analysis that I have read, and I have read a lot while preparing for this interview, is also a possible role of Iran's involvement. And then I remembered how this story with Mr. Itzik Moshe and how Iran was trying to assassinate him. Do you see these links? Do you see Iran being involved in this?
There is no possible, it's a fact, it's evidence. I mean, Iran and Hamas has been having a long-term relationship. Iran is Hamas' main sponsor. Iran is the only financial sponsor of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, another terrorist organization that has been working together with Hamas in this brutal attack. Iran is the one behind financing, supplying, whether it's sharing knowledge, whether it's actual arms and capabilities that has been smuggled into the Gaza Strip. We have been seeing since the beginning of this horrific attack, we are seeing President Raisi and other official Iranian figures praising, glorifying, tweeting, conversation with Hamas so-called leadership. Iran is a full supporter of Hamas. Iran is not hiding it. Iran is a country that officially supports terrorism. The whole aspects of evil, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and additional militias and terror organizations in the region, this aspect need to be condemned and shamed by the entire world for what they are doing and what they are promoting.
Do you see more sanctions coming on Iran? Do you see what type of response do you see there?
I think that there is always room for more sanction on Iran, because Iran is a country that is, by definition, defying every norm and every standard that the whole world, the civilized world, stand for. It's time also to designate Hamas. Countries that have yet to designate Hamas, this is a time to designate Hamas. There is no difference between Hamas and ISIS. It's exactly the same method, the same tactic, the same ideology. And the time has come for the whole world to denounce Hamas, to denounce Iran.
At this point in time, are you satisfied with the international reaction that you are seeing from the USA, from the EU, from UN? I mean, all
yes,
the
I think that the world
players.
is very much united behind Israel. I think that the expression of support that we have seen in words and in deeds from the United States of America, from all our European friends, from every country that belongs to the civilized world is standing with Israel, because I think that everybody understands that this is not another Israeli Middle Eastern affair that took place. This attack is attack against everything that we all stand for. Israel, Georgia, the EU, the United States of America. I mean, we are fighting terrorism. You're either standing by Israel or you're standing by terrorism. If somebody is horrified by ISIS terror attacks that took place in Paris or other locations around the world, but when it's come to murdering 300 Israelis in one day, then they keep their silence. This is an evidence that someone's morality is a bit mixed up.
This is the line I would like to continue with you. Let me read one quote for you. We want to hear a clear voice and a continuous voice. The war is with Hamas, not with the Palestinian Authority, not with Lebanon, and they should stay out of this. This quote belongs to Haim Regev, the Israeli ambassador to the EU and NATO, that was quoted by the Foreign Policy. The EU has a key role in support for the Palestinians. For Lebanon, it can pass the message, a clear message, stay out of it. Do you see signs EU actually doing this? And what are some of the democratic tools at hand to do that?
So we are seeing, first of all, we have seen a solidarity visit by foreign ministers, foreign secretaries, the State Secretary, the United States Secretary, Antony Blinken was just in Israel. Today it's the Secretary of Defense. The foreign minister, the French foreign minister, is expected to visit Israel. The German as well. I mean, I don't want to, I have to say that with as a load of events, I don't want to, but we have seen a stream of visits to express solidarity and to talk about support. And yes, some European countries are already talking about withholding their assistance and support as a leverage, as a tool of conveying political leverage. We need to keep in mind, I mean, we have many people that we have yet to know their destiny, where they are, who's holding them. I mean, what is their status? Are they ill? Are they sick? I mean, are those babies alone? And I think that the support of the world in standing by Israel, as we are doing whatever it needs to restore peace and security and to bring back each and every one of our daughters, sons, grandmother and grandfather, is extremely important.
This is tough. We also heard Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, addressed UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, who called for both the IDF and Hamas to respect international humanitarian law and diffuse tensions, criticizing Israel's full siege of Gaza. Erdan said that the HRC had lost its moral compass, adding that Israel will continue to protect itself and that the HRC has been making false immoral comparisons. What is your take?
He's completely true. Our ambassador to the UN. This is outrageous and ridiculous. I mean, our people has been butchered in the most evil and brutal scenario that we haven't seen for many years. This kind of scene as what we are seeing now coming from the communities down south. And to do this ridiculous, to put the IDF, the army of a democratic country that is applying the international law, to put it on the same page with a terror organization. Can you imagine the human rights commissioner asking, I don't know, the Western allies and ISIS to follow this? I mean, the fact that he's even referring to Hamas as Hamas is a terror organization. Hamas proved the world that it will stop at nothing, that it will execute babies, decapitate babies. Think about how evil and how barbaric you have to be in order to commit these atrocities. And all those who are trying to create some kind of two-side story, there is no two-side story here. There is a country that has been brutally attacked, that lost many of its people, and we have the right to defend our people, and this is what we are doing.
How do you, as Georgia, support at this point, and what are some of the expectations? I mean, what could my country do to support you better or even more?
So I will have to say that Georgia is very much supportive on the day of the attack. You show your viewers some of the statement that came on that same day. Very clear condemnation to terror, solidarity with Israel. I've met with the foreign minister, with the speaker of the parliament, as you mentioned, with the president. I just came back from a meeting with the president of Georgia. I addressed a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee yesterday at the parliament, and I'm planning to keep on meeting Georgia's official in order to discuss the days that are ahead of us, because this is not going to be a short period. I mean, Israel is prepared for a long fighting to do what it takes in order to restore peace and security, and we need Georgia to continue supporting us. As, by the way, I'm sure you will. I mean.
So you have thought how this war might evolve. Do you think that some other parties might get involved in this?
I think it will be a grave mistake by any side or organization that thinks that now is the right time to test us. I mean, yes, we were taken by surprise Saturday morning, and yes, we are mourning our dads, and we are in deep grief, but nobody should mistake it for weakness. I mean, we are extremely strong, and we will do whatever it takes to protect ourselves. And no other terror organization should make the mistake of thinking that now is a good time to attack Israel.
I totally understand when there is war, when people's lives are at stake. Sometimes it is hard to comment on the longer perspective. So I'm really sorry for asking you that. But I've read Moody's report, and they said that this war will test resilience of the Israeli economy. And we know that, like in Georgia, in Israel, there has been high polarization over the same issues, the rule of law and the courts reform. Are you thinking of how to balance this so that Israel's economy
it's a very important question. First, I will say that yes, we had a very polarized year, but what has been happening since Saturday is everybody is united. You can see it also in the expansion of the government. I mean, we are now only yesterday new ministers who were the opposition up until a minute ago were sworn in order to have a larger government as we are fighting this war. From the civilian side, you see food unification. Everybody at the moment, everything else is being put aside, and what everybody is doing is volunteering to do whatever they can. Some are donating blood. Some restaurants are just keep on sending food, not just for the soldier, but we are talking about the survivors of the attack. They lost everything. I mean, I'm sure that everybody saw the images of how the kibbutzim look like. They have nothing, so to feed them, people are doing laundry I mean, everybody's doing whatever it can to support. Now, you're very right. I mean, and it's part of us being strong and resilient. People are going to work. Whoever, I mean, who is not in the areas that was immediately affected, such as the southern of Israel, the country still function. So yes, we will go to a safe room when there's a siren is blowing off and you need to take cover, but we are not shut down. Israel is not planning on being shut down because it's also part of our resilience.
Also, does Israel intend to investigate how these terrorists actually reached the cities in South Israel? Because probably for your people, it was also a shock that these terrorists actually got to those cities.
No, it's very true, Elena. I'm sure we will, because this is our tradition and this is what we do. We've done it 50 years ago after the first Yom Kippur War. We've done it after the Second Lebanon War and many, many other incidents and events, and I'm sure the time will come to it, but this is not the time now. Now is the time to fight and to defeat terrorism, to defeat this local ISIS, Hamas, and then there will be time to heal and to look into what we should have done differently.
Exactly, and lastly, and thank you for your time again, I would like you just to address those people who are still lured by Hamas or other terrorist group propaganda and who still see somehow Israel as an aggressor. This is your time. I would like you to address those people in Georgia, in Europe, everywhere, wherever they are, because we will be airing this interview in English as well. And I want you to do that.
Thank you, Elena. I will say that we understand that many are claiming that Israel is lying. And I think that for some, it's easier to say that we are lying than to face the truth. To face the truth that Hamas has never been a freedom organization, that Hamas terrorists are not freedom fighters. They are brutal terrorists, and that's it. And there is nothing to look more beyond this. I think that people should look at the images, acknowledge the very hard, difficult truth that is coming here, and understand that it's not about freedom fighters, it's not about a political debate, it's not about the benefit of the Palestinian people. Hamas was never for the benefit of the Palestinian people, the opposite. It's about a murderous, brutal terror organization who is seeking to murder Israelis not just because we are Israelis and Jews, but also because of what we stand for. The Western morality, the morality, not Western, morality, value life, value human rights, and this is what they are going after. And everybody who was horrified by ISIS, but justifying Hamas, has to do a deep, deep, deep self-looking in order to understand what went wrong in his moral compass.
Thank you so much, Ms. Meitzad, for taking your time and for answering my questions. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ratings agency Moody's has issued an analysis of the impact of the war between Israel and Hamas. Due to the surprise attack by Hamas on Israel, Moody's has published a report analyzing the economic impact of the war in Israel. Moody's has stressed that this security event will be different from previous operations. The report said in the past, Israel's sovereign credit profile has shown resilience to terrorist attacks and military action. However, a prolonged conflict that durably and significantly impairs economic activity and policy making would test that resilience. Moody's mentioned that security events in the past harmed sentiment in the markets and resulted in a rise in oil prices due to sensitivity to events in the Middle East, but stressed that their influence was limited. The report concludes that economic indicators are expected to remain particularly volatile, adding to the geopolitical uncertainty in the region and oil price fluctuations, but emphasizes that the effects still seem limited. However, a scenario where military action escalates across the region would have implications for global growth as well as inflation. What was new in Georgia's economy on a weekly basis? Here is our weekly news and outlook.
External merchandise trade of Georgia amounted to 16.6 billion USD in January-September 2023, 16.6% higher year-on-year, according to the National Statistics Office of Georgia. As of the document, the value of exports increased by 12.7%, reaching 46 billion USD, while the imports increased 18.3%, amounted to 11.3 billion USD. The trade deficit equaled 6.7 billion USD, and its share in the trade turnover constituted 42.1%. Last week, the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, visited Georgia, during which the Prime Minister of Georgia and Ilham Aliyev discussed both geopolitical and economic issues: the Middle Corridor, the Black Sea submarine cable, Anaklia deep sea water port, were the main topics that the country's leaders focused on. What are the numbers behind Georgia and Azerbaijan economic times? PMG will try to show this by observing the trend of direct foreign investment, trade, tourism and remittances. The history of Azerbaijan FDI in Georgia began in the 90s and reached its highest rate between 2015-2017. During this period, record high investment of 582 million USD were made in 2015. Recently, the amount invested in the country's economy from Azerbaijan was 1,780,000 USD last year, and in H1 2023, the FDI amounted to 1,680,000 USD. Azerbaijan is one of the most important trade partners for Georgia. According to the data of 7 months 2023, the volume of trade in goods of the countries amounted to 979,380,000 USD, which was 15.3% higher than last year. Thus, Azerbaijan occupied the 5th place in the ranking of the largest trade partners with 7% share. According to the statistics for 8 months of the current year, exports to Azerbaijan occupy the main part of the trade turnover. Azerbaijan took the 1st place in the 10 largest exporting markets during this period. In total, in January-August, Georgia sold goods worth 567,804 USD in the neighboring countries, which was 30.9% of the total exports. This number increased by 34.7% year-on-year. Top 10 exporting commodities were as follows: motor cars, tobacco and industrial tobacco substitutes, containers made of paper, packaged medical products, trucks, cattle, livestock, cotton and other solid waste, shipment goods, oil and oil products, including mineral waters, as well as waters containing sugar additives. According to the data of 8 months, Azerbaijan occupies the 6th place in the ranking of the largest importing countries. This year, Georgia purchased goods worth $407,575,000 USD from this country, which was 3.8% less than last year's imports. Petroleum products are the major commodity groups purchased from Azerbaijan. The top 10 imported goods are as follows: petroleum gases and other hydrocarbons, oil and oil products, cement, carbon steel rods, motor cars, products made of gypsum and mixture based on it, plaster, copper ores and concentrates, cigarettes and cigarettes made of tobacco and its substitutes, onions. The number of remittances from Azerbaijan to Georgia is not so great. During the first 8 months of the year, $3,880,000 USD were transferred from Azerbaijan to Georgia, which was 1.35% of the total remittances. Compared to the last year, transfers from neighboring countries decreased by 20.16%. As for tourists, it's necessary to take into account that the fact after the start of the pandemic, Azerbaijan's land borders with its neighbors, including Georgia, have been closed, and Azerbaijan side has not announced when it will be opened. Considering this situation, Azerbaijan visitors made same 85,000 visits to Georgia in the first half of 2023, which is 28.2% higher than the figure of the same period of 2022 and 86.2% lower than the pre-pandemic numbers. The economic partnership between Georgia and Israel is deepening from year to year. What are the data of investments, trade, tourism, and shipments between the countries, and what trends are observed in terms of economic relations? BMW will try to present this in numbers. The inflow of FDI from Israel in Georgia started in 2001 in small volumes, and the largest investment in the country was made in 2015 in the amount of $37,661,000 USD. Last year, a total of $35,093,000 USD were invested in Georgia from Israel in the first half of the country, which was significantly lower than last year's number. The dynamics of trading goods between Georgia and Israel have been changing over the years, but after the pandemic, it's characterized by a positive trend. In January-August of this year, it amounted to $33,942,000 USD, which was 6.3% more compared to the same period last year. In terms of goods trade with Israel, the main place is occupied by exports. In the first 8 months of the year, Georgia received $30,530,000 USD from the goods sold in Israel. This is almost the same indicator as in the same period last year. Top 5 goods exported from Georgia are as follows: equipment for transmitting radio, telephony, radio broadcasting and television, water, including mineral containing sugar additives, aircraft parts, polywood glued, panels made of wood and similar materials from mixed wood, optical elements. As for imports, during the first 8 months of the year, Georgia bought goods of different denominations with $10,412,000 USD from Georgia to Israel. Imports increased by 10% annually. Top 10 imported goods are as follows: cosmetic or makeup and skin care products, washing and cleaning products, vegetable prepared or canned, not frozen, tiles, sheets from other polymer materials, parts intended for TV radio equipment. As for tourists, Georgia is one of the interesting tourist destinations for the population of Israel. As the statistics show, during the last year, a total of 210,000 visitors were made by Israel visitors to our country, which was 108% more than 2021 figure and 2.5% more than 2019 figure. In the first half of 2023, the number of visits from Israel already reached 530,000. This number exceeded the January-June 2022 figure by 26% and 2019 by 38.1%. The contribution of Israel tourists to the international travel revenues is significant, which expect for the pandemic 2020 is mostly increasing. Visitors from Israel spent $148 million in Georgia in 6 months of this year. In total, the share of this country in recent tourist revenues is up to $5.5 billion per year. Israel is included in the top 10 of the countries by remittances received in Georgia and occupies the 7th place this year. $16,770,000 came from Israel in the form of remittances. Israel took a 4.84% share in total volume of transfers. This indicator has decreased by 6.7% compared to the statistics of 8 months of last year. On Tuesday, the official visit of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban began to Georgia. A face-to-face meeting took place between Viktor Orban and Irakli Garibashvili, after which Orban and Garibashvili held a joint briefing. The gross domestic product of Hungary is $189 billion and the GDP per capita in current prices is $18,700, which puts it ahead of only 4 EU countries: Poland, Croatia, Romania and Bulgaria. Economic ties between Georgia and Hungary are quite small. In 2022, the trade turnover between the two countries was $60.6 million, of which 95% was Georgia's imports, and exports were only $3.1 million. Medicines are the main trade goods, as Hungary is one of the largest producers of medicines in the European Union, among which the largest company is Gedeon Richter. In 8 months of 2023, Georgia purchased goods worth $46 million from Hungary, of which $24.3 million accounted for the medicines, followed by meat products with $2.4 million, auto imports with $2.3 million, toothpaste worth $2 million, and pesticides worth $1 million. Georgia's export is much more modest, which was only $600,000 in 8 months of 2023. Among them, only 2 goods exported $100,000. These are clothes in the amount of $200,000 and fruit juices in the amount of $111,000. The third place in the export is re-export of mobile phones in the amount of $88,000. As for other economic ties, in the first half of 2023, FDI worth $2.7 million came from Hungary to Georgia. Georgia receives about $2-3 million of Hungarian investments every year. Georgia-Hungary tourist connections are quite small. In the first half of 2023, 2,500 Hungarian citizens entered Georgia, which is 70% more than the previous year. For comparison, visitors from all EU countries made 162,000 visits to Georgia in the first half of the year, of which 1.6% came from Hungarian citizens. In 2022, 4,000 visitors from Hungary were made to Georgia, and in 2021, Hungarian citizens made 3,500 visits to Georgia.
On October 10, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban began his official visit to Georgia. On October 11, he held a face-to-face meeting with the Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili. During his visit, a meeting of the Georgian-Hungarian Intergovernmental Commission was held, followed by a memorandum signing ceremony. The Prime Ministers of Georgia and Hungary made joint statements to the media. Viktor Orban held only one official meeting during his 3-day visit and did not meet with either opposition or civil society organizations. Georgia's Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili expressed his gratitude for Viktor Orban's unwavering support for Georgia's European integration and recognized Hungary as a valued friend in this journey. The progress achieved in strengthening economic cooperation between the two countries was also discussed. Garibashvili reiterated the considerable economic potential shared by Georgia and Hungary and stressed the importance of taking full advantage of these opportunities. He highlighted Georgia's keen interest in attracting investment in sectors such as renewable energy, logistics, tourism, and various other areas. Furthermore, Irakli Garibashvili and Viktor Orban talked about the developments of the Black Sea Strategic Submarine Electricity Cable project, which aims to connect the Caucasus region with Europe. The Georgian Prime Minister stressed the implementation of the flagship projects initiated by Georgia is essential for realizing the full potential of energy and achieving common goals in the direction of energy security. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, for his part, noted Georgia's remarkable development and its unwavering commitment to preserving its Christian heritage. We highly appreciate the struggle you have been waging for several hundred years to preserve the Christian state. We know from our Hungarian history what kind of struggle it is, how the countries that did not give up their faith fought, he said. The Hungarian Prime Minister stated, "We in the EU have to decide whether we see enlargement as a political process or whether what we say is true, what it is a merit-based process. If it is a merit-based process, then what has happened is quite unfair to your country and should be corrected as soon as possible." And before we end today's checkpoints, on to Natia Taktakishvili for weekly business news and outlook.
A new automobile brand, Geely Auto, has entered Georgia, which is officially represented by Toyota Cars in the country. At the initial stage, the company will be represented in the local market with the compact SUV Geely Coolray. But in the near future, the other Geely models will be introduced, including Monjaro, Tugela, and Geometry C. According to Georgi Shakarashvili, commercial director of Geely Auto Georgia, the appearance of Geely on the Georgian market is connected with the increase in demand for Chinese-made cars. It seems that consumers want to buy high-tech and innovative cars at an affordable price. For example, Geely Coolray is distinguished by high-quality details, modern security systems, comfortable interior, and unique design. Also, the price of the SUV is in the range of $2,000 USD, which can be considered quite cheap compared to competitors, Shakarashvili said. Geely Holding Group owns about 10 automobile brands, including Volvo and Smart. Such a diverse portfolio allows the brand to share technology among the models and reduce expenditures. Georgi Shakarashvili noted that the Volvo team worked on the creation of safety systems presented in Geely cars, and this Swedish car manufacturer has been associated with safety and security for decades. A new jewelry brand Epidot appeared on the Georgian market 6 months ago, which accessories are made of natural stones imported from the Philippines. The startup was launched by two founders, Tamta Tevodariani and Nino Machaidze Dolidze, and they are already offering their fourth collection to the customers. Tamta Tevodariani told BMWG about the brand's concept and future plans. "Our goal is to offer handmade jewelry from natural materials to Georgian ladies. It's also important that not a single jewelry is repeated, and we pay great attention to the quality, branding, and packaging," says Tamta Tevdariani. Jewelry is sold online from Facebook and Instagram pages, and the prices start from 100 lari and, depending on the type of accessory, increases to 280 lari. We are thinking of organizing an exhibition or participating in it in the near future. After that, we really want to think about a branded stand, perhaps in some shopping centers, and we deeply hope that one day it will become a store, says the founder of Epidot, noting that after mastering the Georgian market, the brand is planning to go abroad. Epidot was created in March 2023 with the personal investment of founders, and until now, 4 people are involved in the production. So far, the brand has brought 4 collections, 90% of which have already been sold. Malenta, a premium sauce production company founded amid the pandemic, is planning to build a new enterprise. Malenta is distinguished from its competitors by its quality and variety of flavors. Also, as we are often told, we have a very different design. However, I would definitely like to point out that the same type of sauces are not available on the Georgian market. This is a completely new and different product, says Mari Quernadze. Malenta produces 8 types of jelly sauces, but
Seasonally, the assortment expands and creates an additional 4 types from different berries. The products are sold in various chain markets and wine and cheese shops, and the price ranges from 15 lari to 12 lari. In addition to selling in the local market, the company also plans to export sauces. According to Nana Homerike, the work in this direction has already started. By the end of the year, we are going to send our products to the Baltic countries. This will be our first experience in terms of exports. The monthly production of the company is up to 5,000 cans. However, the demand is increasing, which requires an increase in production. Malenta was founded in 2021. The current enterprise of Malenta is located in Tbilisi and employs 4 people. Seasonally, locally produced raw materials are used in the production of sauces, while in winter they depend on imported fruits and vegetables. Zuka Maisashvili, founder of winery Winuka, located in Ambrolauri municipality, Racha region, declares that wineries face difficulties this year as the dry summer and hail destroyed 50% of the grape harvest. We have a very bad harvest. Grape quality is low. It's also worth noting that rains have been announced for the next few days. We don't know what will be saved in the face of massive rains, says Zuka Maisashvili. According to the Maisashvili, wine price will not increase, but its quality will be halved. The National Wine Agency predicts that the harvest volume will be between 1,500 to 2,000 tons this year. More than 40 companies are involved in the harvest accommodation process. Winery Winuka was established in 2018. The company produces 10 to 15,000 bottles of wine annually, 60–70% of which is exported. Ivane Goglidze, the founder of Kula, declares that demand is up on Kula products abroad, and if they exported 50% of the products, now the figure is increased. Speaking about the exporting countries, Goglidze said that Kula is sold in many countries, including Qatar, Albania, Romania, and Moldova. According to him, those countries were added in 2022 and 2023. Juice, jams, dried fruits, almost all products are exported except for those that are in short supply even in Georgia, for example, tomatoes. All this is related to several facts. Our customers are the population of such countries who know Georgian national spices and sauces. Also, as the statistics show, the demand has increased everywhere. Our products are natural. We don't add any dyes or additives, said Goglidze. Georgian marinade and sauce producing company Kula was founded in 2009 by Ivane Goglidze. And that's all for today. Follow us on BM.G for more updates on business and economics, and take care. Till next Sunday, 11 a.m. sharp.
The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.